Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in today on a great viewer question, and that is, how do you recover, basically get back to you 100% and find peace when you've been alienated through gaslighting and a smear campaign, as well as projection. Those are three really hard-hitting psychological experiences that you may have experienced in a relationship with someone who is a malignant narcissist or a psychopath. So, it's when we talk about recovering and finding peace after these difficult relationships, the peace is not within them. The peace is within you. When it comes to really getting to peace with the situation, it really has to progress through, I would say, the stages of grief. Because with grief, really, there's a sense of loss. And the alienation is just basically solidifying your sense of loss, as well as your degree of self-protection and safety. Into a certain degree, a degree of anonymity, animosity, where no one gets to know you, or you don't not know others. It's because this can be very sensitive, difficult, and truly the main thing, not fun, not enjoyable, or not pleasurable for you. So you might have to realize when you're coming through a relationship with someone who is psychopathic. I mean, let's just talk about it. It's a very severe situation. It can basically catapult you into a foundation that you don't feel that you own. You don't feel that you own yourself, your rights, your life, the right to happiness, the right to pursue happiness. Things just begin to become very limited and hindered, oftentimes through a wall. I mean, it's an emotional wall. Basically, it's, alienating you. You become them an active self-alienation or self-alienating process through the degree of coping with these individual relationships, which means I totally get it. I mean, you have to isolate. You have to get this through to yourself, and it's oftentimes very difficult to speak to people where they can understand how you're feeling, but oftentimes it's very difficult to get to a productive conversation when it's so intense, when it's so extreme, and when it's been that way for many, many weeks, months, or years, or for a lot of people, even decades, that they've hindered themselves and felt this degree of alienation and, basically the opposite of peace, which is agitated. They feel agitated, hostile, angry. It's not worth it. No one, screw that, screw this. It's just basically giving you that sort of rebel mindset or rebel attitude. So you have to look once again at the cause that creates the effect. Has this relationship caused you, to feel, these things, that you then become an active participant in? In other words, you're keeping the story going within your heart. I will be, it's never going to happen for me. I will never be happy. People don't make me happy. You might have all these negative, mindsets going on, which is an attitude, which is the subconscious. And yes, it becomes very important to know that the peace is going to come from within you, reconciling the differences within you. And to give you some keys or some help to find the peace and recover is to realize that, yes, you might go through the stages of grief, and it is a series of stages and phases. And so when you do that, you have to realize that I'm just going to, quickly highlight, the stages of grief. The first is denial. The second is anger. Then you've got bargaining. Then you've got depression and acceptance. And then basically, really, if you apply that to the relationship, you will find peace and healing and your I am that doesn't feel snarred, snagged, or like you're damaged goods based on the relationship. So denial, basically denying that this is happening. You might have already progressed through that. In other words, you're accepting this limiting life. You're denying that you have your empowerment. Anger, being angry at the world, being angry at them, being angry at the people who didn't protect you, being angry at yourself, being angry at God. You have to check out these because you need to move through these. So you need to move through and let go of denial, move through and then let go of anger. Then there's the bargaining. In other words, if this, then that, so there's a bargaining, stage where you go through, if they live, then I will do this. If this relationship were to continue, I will adjust this way. So there's a bargaining or a negotiation that needs to take place. For a lot of people, this is very upsetting, disappointing. They feel that they've lost the juice in their life. That's the depression stage. And then the acceptance, which means this is life. And, to accept life is a big step. Because that acceptance, meaning this person outside of you, they might have been disordered, ill, have a mental problem, whatever it is, personality disorder, to a certain degree, you have to release the hurt because, the way I understand these people have a handicap, oftentimes which is hurtful to you. They have a personality issue, a conflict, a need to have superiority, a need to deceive people and to keep that fear going. That's how they are. It doesn't mean you have to be the same way or are not. So you have to understand the gulf, the rift, and the separation between you and them. And to realize, hey, that's a horse of another color. That's, they are, even though they might be human, I am very different from them. So to acknowledge and validate that, I think will help you to see and begin to see your experience in a positive light. And to let them go because their disorder is their disorder. Let them have it. Let them own it. Let the relationship own it. They are this way. Either they're superficial, they're mean, they're rude, they're selfish. All these different things. That is them. That is not you. It doesn't have to be you. You might have some, common denominators there, but it doesn't mean that it has to become pathological. So you have to give them the right to be who they are. And therefore, give yourself the right to be who you are. We're talking about human rights. So once you can kind of see that and say that they have the right to be the way that they are. And so if they're a way that they are that you do not want to participate in, that's them. And I don't care to share in that anxiety. I don't care to, share in that superficial type of life. This is not fun, pleasant, or enjoyable. Therefore, I will take ownership and responsibility for what does bring me these things. But once you can kind of see and forgive this person 100% for all that they have done to you, then you'll begin to experience the peace. Then you'll begin to experience the individuality. But if you're holding them in a statute of blame, where they're always in the equation for your peace and your wholeness and your responsibility and recovery to move on, then you're still sort of holding them hostage, which is not going to serve you, because if you're kind of waiting for them to come, to change or to admit that they are the way that they are, then you might be waiting an awful long time, and you might be waiting for something that's never going to occur. So I encourage you to realize that you have to forgive them for all that they have done. It takes a big person, and to literally understand what that means, because once you let them go and you forgive them for all that they have done, you're releasing them from, payback, from the need to apologize, which might be very soothing, that they kind of admit their wrongs. But, if you're still isolating and you're still sort of, in that brainwashed state, then you need to break free, go no contact, and work on the tools to get to that wholeness. But the forgiveness of them and all that they have done is a big step. And when you do that, you sort of break free of sort of a moral thread that I think people hold. They hold this connection. They're holding somebody accountable. So you're kind of keeping them inside, so you need to let them out, let them go. Whether it seems fair, they got away with too much, all these different things that you are harboring, because it's like a boat harbor. You're harboring, them. You're like holding them captive within. You're holding them hostage, and the effect that they held hostage. So you have to realize, to a certain degree, you have to let them go. If you've been harboring the anger, the animosity, the frustration because of them, you're still keeping them around virtually in your imagination. So it's like you're not going no contact. You're holding them responsible and accountable. So that means that everything that has to do with you, your bottom line, they have to be calculated and formulated in. And that if you feel, and in that calculation it's always going to bring you into the negative, then we need to change up the emotional math. We need to sort of get them out of the equation and realize that you are the equation. What adds up to your bottom line is what you do with your experiences, how you react, how you adjust, and your cognitive reframing in what it means to you, and the degree to which you're going to harbor, which means keep the cycle going virtually. So if you really want to heal, you have to let them go. And so if you're still sort of keeping them on the hook, you want to have that confrontation, you want to have that discussion, you still feel like you need to have it out with them, then you have to realize if you're holding them within, then you need to, let them go. I let you go, and make the statement, I've let you go, even after all of you done, after all you have done, it is done, it is finished, complete, and so it is. Namaste. So, and to speak these words from your heart, if you're still harboring a lot of resentment, then you have to learn about that. Because resentment will continue to hinder you, keep you isolated, keep you alienated, keep you in sort of that brainwashed state where you're still harboring those negative values that they have created within you. And you don't want that to taint or make toxic or ruin the rest of your life. We have to understand of these going on. This is such an intense question. I think I want to, continue to address this because I think it's a wonderful question. So look for more on this topic. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out, peace in, have a beautiful day.